Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee episode 137. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm tired and slightly stressed.
I know it's the Zelda delay, isn't it? It's
I
affected us
know.
all.
It's terrible.
What I find kind of, for those of you who don't know, Nintendo released a video where Aonuma got on camera and's like, dude, totally sorry, Zelda is not going to be done by the fall. Where 2015 isn't even a priority. We're not showing it at E3, but it's going to be cool when it does come out. Yay! And what I found interesting is there were a lot of publications where the headline was something along the lines of Zelda could possibly not see a 2015 release.
Okay.
Like, oh, you poor fanboys, you're holding on to hope so hard, and I understand that really, but I mean, I guess if you take the official translation of what Aonuma said, word for word, literally, there is a little itty bitty area where it could possibly come out later in 2015. He doesn't specifically say no 2015, just that we're not targeting 2015 anymore, and blah 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 blah. I listened to it. I'm like, well, there's no doubt in my mind that this ain't coming out till spring of 2015 at the earliest, and spring 2016 at the earliest, and probably not till the following fall. Which means that Nintendo's got a hell of a hole in its schedule.
Yeah.
Well, that's not fair. There's Xenoblade Chronicles X. My hand is huge. There's Xenoblade Chronicles X, Splatoon, Yoshi's Woolly World. I'm sure that's got to be almost done. Mario Maker we should see this year. There's that Rodea the Sky Soldier thing, which doesn't interest me in the least because it looks kind of like Knights, which I don't like at all. So probably not my game. Maybe Devil's Third will be out this year. Maybe. A lot of people are saying Star Fox, which I would be really surprised because when we saw it last year, and we saw it out of focus behind Miyamoto, but from what I read, the people that did see it, it was like super duper early. So I would be surprised if Star Fox was ready this year, but you never know. Also, maybe Nintendo will have some more new surprises for us. But I am confident that Nintendo's new mobile game that they're releasing this fall will fill that Zelda-sized void.
Yes, I'm sure it will. Just like Capcom's mobile Breath of Fire 6 will satiate me for a console Breath of Fire.
STL Creator has an interesting conspiracy theory. What if Aonuma needs more time because Nintendo picked up Kojima?
Yeah, there we go. Oh.
Let's see. I should probably stop. I should not speak and read. Anyway, let us keep talking. So yeah, no Zelda this year. That's a shame. Some people are they going to do a Twilight Princess thing and delay it a year, and so that it can come out on both the Wii U and the NX if that's the new home console? Probably not.
Yeah.
Because if that's true, I don't see the NX coming out any earlier than fall 2017. Could totally be wrong, but I don't see it coming out any earlier than that, which means that so either NX is coming out next year, which seriously doubt, or Zelda is being delayed for 2 years, which seriously doubt. I think Matthew said that maybe they junked it and started from scratch. In which case, we're probably not going to see it till 2017 if that's the case. If what we saw was completely thrown away, then
why would they throw that away, though? Unless they just decided to take it in a totally different direction.
See, I opined on Twitter that the problem was they couldn't stop Epona from running head first into trees, and horses don't do that, don't you know? So, Kaganeka-sama, you made it in time today. Well done. Okay, so let's see. Playing any video games this week there, Zachary?
Playing, no. Making, yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, this weekend is Super BitCon here in Oklahoma City, and I have a table there, and so this entire week was spent getting a game playable for the show, so that people could come to our table and play a game, and and so this week I was crunching to get this thing all done, and yesterday I got it. Yesterday I was ready to test it on the Ouya, and because I was going to have it played on the Ouya, so that it's playing on the Ouya while I'm working on my laptop making the game, or and doing other things, and uh, and I get it on the Ouya, and it's really simple to test and install games on the Ouya, and then but I get it on there, and all the text is gone. Like, there is absolutely no text displayed on uh, in my game,
Hmm.
and I'm like, what? And so I'm like, so I was like, okay. Well, and then I started messing around, making sure the game, other aspects of the game worked, and the game ran like crap. Like, it went from 60 frames per second to under 20. That's how bad it went, and it was just that bad. And so I did some Google searching and stuff, and found out that the problem is it, there's just a general problem with Android right now with Hakes Flixel, and so I'm just like going insane. Um, I just can't. I couldn't figure it out. I just Google searched and posted on Twitter asking for help, and it's like nothing anybody could tell me to do worked. And so I was like, darn it. So I had to set up the game to play on my laptop while connected to a big screen TV, and then I got out my spare laptop, which was a Windows box, which I didn't want to mess with, and I'm doing all my development on that. So not as fun as I'd hoped, but otherwise, the game is playable there. People can come to our table, they can play it, they can have fun, and then my brother and I were uh, today and tomorrow. We are making a game. We're doing a game jam over the weekend, and so by tomorrow afternoon, for at Super BitCon, people will be able to play the game that we're currently making, and so that's been pretty interesting and fun. We've we stuck us four themes into a bucket, picked one out, and then stuck four game genres in a bucket and picked one out. And we're making a water-themed adventure game, and so it's interesting trying to come
Make
up with
sure the sailing isn't boring like some
no.
games with sailing I know.
Well, it's not sailing,
Wind
so
Waker.
it's you're an anthropomorphic drop of water who's trying to get from one end of a cave to the other, where the little cave, puddle, pond, river, whatever you want to call it is, and you have to make your way through dirt clods and cracks and rocks, and watch out for little living fireballs and things that will damage you, and so it's gonna be, hopefully it'll be fun.
Hmm.
but but yeah, so
Interesting.
it's been pretty nice.
Okay. Well, Pokemon Shuffle is what it's called, the free-to-play one. Uh, Nintendo actually updated the game with more levels, so I beat those.
Nice.
Yay. Um, I still haven't spent a single penny on that game, and I don't know. I just feel all smug. You know, I beat your game without paying for it. Neener neener. Um, I also played a bit more Valkyria Chronicles, and
Good.
quite enjoying that game. Um, there's one level. where there's this like mobile battleship on wheels that's tearing ass across the land, and you're supposed to direct it down a particular canyon and
Yeah.
to make it go where you want so that it hits the trap of a bunch of mines. And luckily, I got that stage on my first try because man, that one seems like just a pain in the butt to play over and over. Uh, it's also kind of frustrating because it's like, don't get run over by the giant battleship because you'll die. I'm like, great, but I don't know how far it moves in a given turn, so I don't know how to space my crew. you know. Uh, Fortunately, the only people who got hit were the protagonist privileged characters like Rosie and Largo, so they can't die. They just retreat. But so far, nobody has died on my watch. Well,
That's good.
except the people who die uh, as the story dictates,
Yeah.
which I'm totally not responsible for. So the chat is talking about a Twilight Princess HD game, which I wouldn't get because I own Twilight Princess on the GameCube. I played it. I like it. I'm done with it. I don't have a problem with Twilight Princess HD coming out. Uh, Although I am one of those who was very, very opposed to the Wii version of the game because it mirrored it to make
Yeah.
Link right-handed, which in itself was because the Wii version mapped motion control to the sword swings.
Yeah.
So they thought that most people are holding the remote in their right hand, so it would be confusing if you're swinging with your right hand and Link is swinging with his left, which makes no sense because one, it wasn't that accurate, and two, if you swing from the right to the left, it doesn't matter which hand you're doing that with. Link moves his sword from the right to the left. So I didn't see any reason to go to the trouble of mirroring the entire game just to make Link right-handed. That made no sense to me. And also, I'm very sensitive about stage blocking, camera direction, and
Hmm.
things like that. So when you mirror the game, you screw things up. And I'm like, nope. Yep. I was at a movie once, and the movie was matted wrong. And I'm like, nope, give me my money back. I am not watching this movie with the mats in the wrong place. Um, I am one of the. I always watch original language. Um, I am one of those. Um, but
Yeah.
the Wii version did introduce some uh, interesting things. For example, the bow, you use the pointer to aim the bow, which I thought was really cool. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
they added um, a little like a laser sight dot on the screen, so there was absolutely no
Chance that you would miss.
challenge. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
challenge anymore. The great thing about using the bow in most of the Zelda games is there's no targeting reticle. You have to aim.
Yeah.
Um, so it was widescreen, which was really cool. But then they took up about 2/3 of the screen with new GUI overlays, showing you where all the buttons on the controller were. I'm like, well, that completely defeats the point of having it in widescreen now because you just covered the screen with crap.
Yeah.
Um, Zelda, Twilight Princess would probably be my favorite Zelda game, except it has a couple notable problems. Off the top of my head, um, Epona is completely pointless um, because you you can call Epona only at certain designated spots. You have to pick up a piece of grass and go. I hope I didn't blow out anyone's eardrums with that. You have to whistle on a piece of grass to call Epona, but those particular grass tufts are only in certain locations. So you can only call Epona from certain locations. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Later in the game, you get the horse whistle, so you can call Epona from wherever you want. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, not only can you transform into a wolf at will, which is a lot more maneuverable and faster than Epona, but you can also warp everywhere, so it's completely pointless.
Yeah.
Also, the bug finding mission is actually really well done because you know where to search for. You know the general area to search for each bug you're missing.
Yeah.
However, the Poe quest is crap because if you're missing one Poe, you have absolutely no earthly clue where in the game it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're missing one Poe, you are going to have to haunt every single area in the entire game twice, once during the day and once at night. Or actually, maybe they only turn up at night. So if it turns out you're gonna constantly be doing these
Yeah.
song spam, oh man, it's like how did if you miss one, you have no idea where it is. Missing a bug, you know exactly where it is. You know the general area where it is. Pose, no, it drives me nuts. So, although it's still a great game, but there are some poor design decisions.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is my so concludes my Twilight Princess rant. Midna needs to come
Yeah.
back because she is awesome.
Okay.
How dare
I still need
Xenoblade
to.
has better English voice acting? No, no, it doesn't. In my ever so humble opinion. No, actually, I have heard quite a bit of the English voice cast for Xenoblade, and it's quite good. I'm still going to watch it in its original language, though.
Yeah.
Did I not get a Wind Waker HD? Yes, I did not get Wind Waker HD because I own Wind Waker on the GameCube, so I feel no need to get it again because I
Yeah.
already have it. Just up to if they had added more dungeons to it or something like that, and I'm aware that they added the new sail and a couple other gameplay tweaks, and I admire that greatly. But you would have to really change the gameplay experience for me to get me to rebuy the game.
Mm-hmm.
Just upping the graphics, while I appreciate it and I like this kind of stuff, it's not enough to get me to rebuy something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you know if you're going to buy Wind Waker HD, you're either a die-hard Zelda fan or you've never played it before and you've got a Wii U, you know, or you're getting a Wii U or something, you know. Um, but yeah, I haven't played. I've never played Twilight Princess. I've never played Ocarina of Time all the way through. Never played Majora's Mask, and
You
I've
have
never
lost
played
all gaming
Sky.
cred. Get out.
I've never played Skyward Sword, so I'm a little behind on all my Zelda fun. But man, 2D top-down Zelda is awesome. You know, Link to the Past, um,
Still need to play.
Oracle of the Ages, and Oracle of Seasons. You know, the original Legend of Zelda, all totally awesome. Oh, and Link's Awakening. I haven't played any of the DS ones either, though. So what is that? Phantom Hourglass. What's the train one?
To Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks. Yeah, haven't played those ones either. But,
STL creator and I seem to be on two sides of a line here. Says, but the Wii controls are so much better than the GameCube controller. No, 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 no. This, back on me. This is much more comfortable than this thing. This is a hell of a lot more reliable than this thing. When I press this big green button here that comfortably sits right under my thumb, Link swings his sword every single time. When I do this swingy motion, Link swings his sword, to be fair, like 99.5% of the time. It works really, really well. This does almost exactly what it's supposed to be, but I don't want to play the game like that. I hate that. I did like Skyward Sword though. Not one of my favorites, but I did quite enjoy the game. I don't care for the motion controls, and
yeah.
I thought Metroid Prime 3 worked just fine with the Wii controls because it was designed for it. But Prime 1 and 2, I had no problem with the GameCube controller. And I felt no reason to go back to them with the
Wii controller,
Wii controls, because it was designed for the GameCube controller in mind, so it was fine.
Yeah. I played through both of those just fine. You know, although I've never beaten Metroid Prime 2, just because I can't strafe to save my life, and that being Emperor just kicks my butt because of it.
Mm. Let's see. You like Dango says, wasn't Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem in development and scheduled for 2015 release? I don't know if it was ever scheduled. I think it was probably to be announced 2015, but we haven't heard anything on that for quite a while. But that is another game that maybe will come out this year. Would be nice to hear something at.
Yeah.
I hope to hear something about it at E3 anyway. Let's see. Pose trolling since Ocarina of Time, yes.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna have to go through this later. Okay, so let's see. On with the show. Hello, Ahan Axel on YouTube. Let me close the poll here. We had a poll this week, as we do most weeks, and I lost it. Where the heck is it? There it is. Okay, so let me close the poll. Just a fun. Let's just not particularly topical. This week's poll asks, "Was the best decade for video games?" And what I mean by best decade is really up to you. So we had 268 people respond to the poll. 1% said the 70s.
Two whole
Pong.
people love
Yep.
the 70s. They pine for them.
Can't beat the Magnavox Odyssey, baby.
Yeah, yeah. I had to go back. I had to look up a console timeline just to see what came out in the 70s. And yeah, it was Pong and Magnavox Odyssey, and that was about it. But yeah, so two people voted for that.
Let's see. 7% voted for the 80s. Our winner, with 46%, was the 90s, 30% the 2000s, and 16% the 2010s, for lack of a better.
So
the tenses, the teenses. I don't know.
I don't know. Is it the knots or the aughts? I can never remember for the 2000s.
I don't know. I think I just call them the 2000s because knots or zeros or it just sounds dumb to me.
Yeah, but okay. So the 90s won out pretty. You know, the 90s and the 2000s basically won out pretty hardcore there. And this was mentioned in the shout box a couple of times, and it's like, you know, I would love to see an overlay of the ages of the people who voted for these.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you'll probably get a really strong correlation between age and which decade the people voted for. You know, because both of us we're in our mid 30s, and I know you voted the 90s because I voted the 90s. Yeah, and if you're between, you know, probably I would say 20 to 25 to 30, you know. You're in your 20s. You probably voted for the 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah. A few people actually revealed their ages to me, and it was only like 4 or 5 people. But in every case, your best decade correlates to the one you were essentially a teenager in, the one you grew up in. I was a kid in the 90s. You know, 90 to 2000, I was 10 to 20. So that was my late grade school and my entire high school career, and I started and almost finished college in that decade. So I also, in the middle of that decade, I became old enough to start acquiring my own income and buying my own games.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of value to that, and those were the days when I had time to play all the games I want, because, you know, school was stupid. And I mean, let me put that a different way. I was a lot smarter than school, so I didn't need to study or do homework. I did homework at school, even though it's called homework. I just did it at school because I could do it really quick, and I didn't need to waste my time doing it. I could watch episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or play Super Nintendo or whatever I wanted to do. And I remember those were the days where I could game binge for hours on end.
Yeah.
You know, if I wanted to play games for like 6 hours, I could, unless Mom needed me for something.
Yeah. And I was the same way. Gaming was just one of those things that I did. I remember waking up when I was like, 12 years old, 11, 12. Waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, waiting patiently for my dad to go to work, and then going into the living room and playing Dragon Warrior until we had to go to school, so that I could get my gaming in. The 90s is when I got my first Super Nintendo. It's when I got my first PlayStation. My first Game Boy Pocket. Yeah, it was a Game Boy Pocket. That's when console gaming was great for me. But in general, though, I think the '90s had a lot going for it because of the vast number of consoles available in the '90s. You had in the early '90s, you had the tail end of the NES, the tail end of the Master System. You had, well, Atari was basically dead by that point, but then you had the Super Nintendo, you had the Sega Genesis, and all the Genesis peripherals that came out. You had the Atari Jaguar, and the latter half of the '90s, you had the N64 and the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, and and I think that was probably about it at that point. But that's like almost, how many consoles was that? I wasn't counting, but that was a whole bunch of consoles. You got the
There's a
end of a
Dreamcast in
cycle.
there too. Don't forget the Dreamcast.
Yeah, but you had the end of a cycle, a full cycle, and the start of a cycle of game consoles in that time frame. And that's just a lot of gaming to go through, and a lot of it was great. And so definitely a great time if you want to go back and look at all that stuff. But yeah, and then PC gaming was really awesome too, because that's when LucasArts and Sierra were at their prime, making their adventure games.
The early '90s, yeah.
Yeah, and then Ultima and Maxis was a really big deal back then too. Lots of PC gaming at that
Doom
time.
and Quake were
Yeah.
the mid to early '90s.
Castle Wolfenstein.
Duke Nukem.
Yep. Lots.
Myst, I think, was '90s.
I think was '90s. Yeah, and EverQuest came out in the late '90s.
Did not like it all.
Yeah.
But I understand. I respect its place in the history of gaming. But man, did not like that game even at the time. Now,
Yeah.
one late '90s game I went back and played a while ago was Baldur's Gate, and I couldn't play it. It's just nope. And I want to play it.
I still like it.
It's the thing I couldn't stand is the fact that you have to manually drag the damn screen around. I think I had the same problem with the original Fallout, and I'm like, oh god, this is so terrible. Because you walk to the end of the screen, and then you have to manually drag the screen over to keep walking.
I thought it had like use the arrow keys or something. You could scroll while you were moving or something.
Or I was playing it wrong. That's completely
I don't know.
possible too.
I can't remember. It's been a while since I played, but I still enjoy Baldur's Gate when I play it every now and then. But moving on to the 2000s, that's another great decade for gaming, because that's when 3D came into its prime. 3D became a good thing. You look at 3D on the PlayStation 1 or the GameCube. It's very blocky, flat textures.
Here's the thing:
the games just do not hold up.
Yeah, you can go back and play all the the Genesis and the Super NES games. They're gorgeous. They still hold up today, most of them. You look at a lot of PlayStation 1 and N64 games. Oh man, they are hard to play these days.
Yeah, great gameplay during that era, but the 3D just does not hold up. But if you go back and you play a PlayStation 2 game or an Xbox game or a GameCube game, they still look great these days. And that was one of the things that was one of the reasons why I loved the Wii so much. And despite everybody saying, but it's a GameCube, two GameCubes duct taped together, or whatever they were saying.
Hmm.
It was,
Which is actually not that far off.
yeah, but at the, even still, to me, high end graphics just isn't that big of a deal. Art style and gameplay are what I like. And if you have a good art style, you can deal with lower resolutions, and still come out looking great.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
like Wind Waker. I mean, that game,
mhm,
even the original one that came out in '03, I think,
mhm,
gorgeous game. The
yeah,
depth of field blur needed to be pushed way the hell back, but other than that, um, it still holds up today. Although if I were to replay it, I would want the HD version because who doggy is that sucker gorgeous when you put it in HD.
yeah,
Um, but what's interesting is if you can take a lot of games from the really early 2000, late 90s, early 2000s, and you see HD editions of them, and they're just kind of crap. Um, it was a little
yeah,
while before they started getting into the artistic aesthetics of it, which really carried the game more than raw processing power, and why they still look good today, and why when you actually give them an HD treatment, they're simple, but they're incredibly clean and still gorgeous.
yeah,
So, but one of those no right answer polls. But most of our polls are really no right answer.
yeah,
But uh, interesting. I wish there was a way to correlate to answer with age. I have a feeling
yeah,
that most people's best decade is the one they were,
yeah. The one they
teenagers and
grew
the
up
ones they
with.
grew up in.
And it'll be interesting to see, what the next 5 years has to offer, because the 2010s is only half over, and
Oh yeah,
so there's still plenty of opportunities for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the Wii U, and whatever else Nintendo has to offer to really wow us.
yeah. Well, with plenty of time to completely explode and then collapse in on itself too.
That's true.
Uh, So, you like Dango asks, how supportive was your family of you playing video games? I grew up in a strict Asian household, so I was always put on a strict
Yeah,
curfew and time rules, like finish the homework first. For me, my parents divorced when I was really young, so I grew up with my mom and my sister. We were allowed to watch or play anything. Mom made very certain, sure, at an early age that we understood the difference between fantasy and reality. She would, we'd talk about that, and so she was comfortable uh, with me watching R-rated movies in the '80s when I was in the single-digit age range and playing.
yeah,
Violent video games or whatever. So as long as I had taken care of all of my responsibilities, homework, even though when I say I did it at school, I did it at school before I went home. I usually did it between classes, so I wasn't leaving it to the next day. It was done. Or I was in Boy Scouts when I was young. We had chores. We had to make dinner and vacuum and dust and do things like that. So as long as we were taking care of ourselves and getting our personal responsibilities, keeping that stuff under taken care of, we were allowed to play games or watch movies or do whatever. And mom played games and watched movies with us. So
yeah.
that was awesome. How about you?
Yeah, well, in my family, my mom played games with us. We would be playing something on the Nintendo, and she'd be over there playing and going like this, and and just having a great time. And she was really the reason why we had game consoles in the house, anyways, because she was the one who would go out and buy these things and bring them home, and and help us get pick out games and stuff that we wanted to play. And she loved it, and she's still a gamer today. She does a lot of PC gaming, and she also has a Wii, and she and a game and a bunch of GameCube and Wii games for it, and I think she even has a PlayStation 2. And but yeah, she still plays and everything. So she was fine with it. We never had any issues. We didn't have to hide anything or whatever. But eventually, once I got into the late teens, I was able to buy my own consoles, and so I had a Super Nintendo and a PlayStation in my bedroom. But yeah, my mom was the reason why we got in there. Yeah, of course, every once in a while there would be those times where, yeah, we were playing too many games, and we had to have the game consoles taken away, and so that we would actually do our chores and stuff like that. But yeah, no real issues though.
The only time Mom would put her foot down with my gaming habits is if I would get really, really upset with a game I was playing. I have anger issues, so if I started getting super upset and cursing or doing that or something, she'd say, "All right, turn that shit off." Yeah, you're obviously not having fun, so that's where she would step in. So another quick funny story is my mom. One of the things she wouldn't let me watch when I was really young was all of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Uh, she'd let me listen to the whole thing, but she would turn the picture off right before Tim Curry throws off his cape and is standing there in women's underwear. And as I got older, when I was really young, I was just, okay, that's just what Mom does. But as I got older, I questioned. I said, why are you shutting the picture off? What happens? And she says, he's wearing women's underwear. I'm like, okay. And at that age, I was like, well, okay, that's good enough for me. And then as I got older, I said, Mom, can you not shut off the picture? I want to see the movie. And she says, okay. And so Tim Curry, I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania, and he's wearing stockings with garter and a teddy, and I'm like, and as however old I was, which was probably like 9 or something like that, the only girls' underwear I understood was what I saw in the hamper when I was doing the laundry, which was bra and underwear. I had no idea. This wasn't women's underwear. I've seen women's underwear, and it looks nothing like that. I don't know what the hell that is. It just looks weird, you know. So
Yeah.
also,
That's
Child's
funny.
Play. Mom was not comfortable with me watching Child's Play when it came out, and I think '88. So I would have been 8 years old. It was that because it's about a doll, a killer doll. So it was that
Yeah.
kind of betrayal of trust thing that she wasn't quite comfortable with me seeing at 8 years old. But I think I saw it like when I was 10 or
Yeah.
11, because I think I marathoned all 3 of them, and I think the third one was out by like '91. So anyway.
Yeah, I think I've only ever seen the first two, and yeah, they're
The
not
Child's
all
Play
that great.
movies?
Yeah, the Child's Play movies.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, they're just not my thing. I thought they were really dumb, but I was just like, at the end of the second one, I was just like, okay, yeah, there's no way he's not going to jail, but lots of stupid things like that. But yeah, there's something somebody said. Oh, Matthew says that he has a friend whose parents would rather them play games over watching TV, and personally, I can get behind that because at least playing a game is a little more mentally stimulating and active with the people playing. They have to actually think while they're doing it. While watching TV, you're just kind of sitting there, the whole time. And so yeah, I could definitely see why they would prefer games over television.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating in the poll. It was much fun. We've got some interesting responses in the article I wrote on Game Politics for the poll, so check that out if you want some other views.
Yeah.
So let us move on to a new topic, which is all the SB 101 stuff. A not at all contentious issue that no one has particularly strong feelings on one way or the other. But
Yeah.
let me ask you something, Zachary. Before this week, had you ever heard of Gen Con? I had not.
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay.
But I'm not a big convention goer either, so yeah. It's like San Diego Comic Con, New York Comic Con, and then PAX, and there was something down in Texas, Screw Attack or something like that. I don't know. And then like a couple of local ones, and really that's about it for geek conventions.
Mm.
As far as I know, but
Yeah,
yeah.
San Diego Comic Con I'm very familiar with because I live right next to it. So, and by right next to it, I mean like 7 miles away. Um, but yeah, I'm not a convention goer either. But anyway, Gen Con is on its website. It says it's the original, longest-running, best-attended gaming convention in the world, featuring hundreds of game companies, award-winning authors and artists, costumed attendees, and more than 14,000 events, a family fun pavilion, and the debut of exciting new games. Gen Con truly is the best 4 days in gaming. Trademark! Exclamation point. So apparently it's been going. It's been in Indiana for 10 years, and last year they had over 180,000 people attend. So
Yeah.
apparently
Um,
it's a big deal, but it's 2,000 miles away. So
yeah.
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, but before we get in, how do you say that?
Kage Neko-sama.
Kage Neko-sama. I don't think there's a way you can boycott a law, so yeah. But just thought I'd mention
Oh
that.
yeah, Kage Neko-sama says so. Everyone is boycotting SB 101 now. Yeah.
you can't you can't boycott a law. I'm sorry, the law will catch you. You can protest
I'm
SB
boycotting that
101.
jaywalking horse shit.
You
No,
can
I,
protest it,
yeah.
but yeah, boycotting is what you do when you avoid taking an action, like buying a product or visiting a business.
Yeah.
I guess you could boycott Indiana now, but yeah, you
Which
can't boycott.
some people are either doing or threatening to do because Indiana is one of many states, actually, who has introduced a law that uh, the popular interpretation of these laws, the laws don't specifically say this. The laws, when you read them, when you're a layperson and you read them, it looks like they're saying uh, the government you can't be sued for exercising your right to freedom of religion. And you're like, oh, well, okay, yeah, that's cool. But what everyone seems to agree, even the people who support the law, seem to agree that what these laws are doing is they're providing protections for people who want to, for religious reasons, discriminate against others, namely the LB. Oh God, I suck at this acronym. Gay,
LBGT,
thank you,
yeah,
LGBT, and then I've seen it with a Q and a
occasionally
plus
with a
sign too.
Q, and yeah,
That's I man, maybe we could just shorten that to LB plus or something. Just I don't know. It's
yeah,
getting longer. But anyway, so okay, so Indiana, this law came out, and the government said, "I'm going to sign that sucker." And several organizations, for our purposes, Gen Con, the gaming convention, said, if you do that, we will, look somewhere else for another place to host our convention because we want everyone who comes to Gen Con to not worry about going to an eatery or some business and worry about being chucked out on their butt because of who they are.
hmm
You know, a lot of people see this law as legalized discrimination, and so Gen Con is saying, well, we want a wonderful, all-inclusive, safe, happy environment for everybody. So apparently, this is not the state that is going to provide that. Governor Pence signed the damn thing anyway. Um, and Gen Con says, well, our contract is, still good through 2020, so we'll be here for the next 5 years. But after that, who knows? Um, and
Yeah.
everyone who actually looked into this knew that they had a contract extending out for another 5 years. But Gen Con, in their original letter to Governor Pence, did not actually. It kind of,
They made it sound a little more like they were just gonna pick up and leave,
yeah.
that day,
That letter sounds like you sign this, we're gone, buddy. And so Pence signed it, and they said, well, we'll probably be gone in like 5 years.
Yeah. Uh, all right. So what do you think of the law in general? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I haven't read the law. I don't know if it would make a difference if I did, because I am very lay. But if it is, if the interpretation that it is essentially protecting people who discriminate against others, I don't think this is a law that we should have. I don't think the government should be protecting people who discriminate against others.
Okay. Yeah, because personally, like I look at this law and I think I think this law is completely unnecessary.
Yes.
It's completely stupid. But I also can see why the law came about. Because there's a lot of instances where like a photographer or a bakery were sued because they refused to provide their services to a same-sex marriage because the owners don't believe in same-sex marriage, and so as a result they were taken to court and eventually in all essentiality forced to provide their services to somebody they didn't want to provide their services to, um, you know and so they felt that that court ruling would violate their religious freedom, to associate with people that they wanted to associate with based on religious preferences. Now, in all honesty, I don't think there's a reason to protect those people because I think that a free market would protect the customers and businesses alike. If a business doesn't want to service certain people, other businesses will open up and say, "Hey, we'll provide our cakes to anybody who wants a wedding cake. We'll take your pictures of any event, whatever it is." You know, so that's kind of my thoughts is that you know laws like this are just kind of unnecessary because especially in these smaller businesses where there's a lot of competition, there's really no reason for protection either way because the market already provides the protections they need and the services they need. So that's just kind of my thoughts on this, and I got ripped quite a bit, by a lot of people in that
I
original
think
article
people were
because
kind of misunderstanding what you were specifically saying and where you were coming
well,
from.
yeah, a lot of people were. It sounded like a lot, from what I was reading, a lot of people were coming from the angle that I support discrimination or something along those lines, or I think discrimination is okay as long as somebody else doesn't discriminate. You know, I think that's how a lot of people were taking my comments, and I think that's not really true. I don't think discrimination is okay. I've never said anything of that sort, so I'm just kind of defending my honor here. But I think people are stupid if they don't provide a cake. But I also think that people have a right to associate with whomever they want. Say you are a photographer and somebody wanted to hire you to take a picture of their nudist run, and you didn't feel comfortable taking photos of their nudist 5K or whatever. It's like, should you be forced to take pictures of a nudist run if they wanted to hire you? No. So
Well,
why should you be forced to go take pictures of a wedding when you don't want to go to that wedding? Yeah.
well, that depends. Or if you're a wedding photographer, you should go take pictures of weddings. If you don't take pictures of nude
Did
people,
we?
that could be part of your policy. You know, Like, for example, you could be a wedding photographer and say, "Oh, it's a nude wedding. Okay, sorry, we don't do nude weddings. You know, we will take pictures at your weddings, but if they're, if everyone's naked, or if there's a big orgy, or if it's in an
I missed
area
like
that's,
half of that. Sorry.
oh, it was genius. You missed such awesome coming out of my mouth. Basically, what I was saying is, if your business is uh, uh, take wedding photography, then
Hmm.
you should take pictures of weddings, so long as it's you know not against a some type of all-encompassing policy like no nudity. Not
Yeah.
that's anybody's wedding. If you're naked, I'm not going. That's fine. If it's something that's unsafe, like this is a wedding that takes place completely underwater with scuba tanks. It's like, dude, I'm afraid of water.
Yeah.
I'm not scuba certified. Not doing that one. If it takes place in an area that I only service these 3 counties, and you're in X and X county way out there, don't service that area. It's at a time that I'm on vacation that week, so I can't do it. Those are all good reasons to refuse service. I don't like you because you are a particular gender or religion or ethnicity or sexual orientation. Not a good reason to refuse service. I mean, it's a free country. You can do it if you want, but you have to be willing to accept the consequences, which in this case are being sued for discrimination. So,
Yeah, but again, I don't think lawsuits in that instance are necessary because again, the free market is there.
mhm.
Somebody doesn't want to take your pictures, go next door to the next and they'll take your picture. Every instance I've seen where discrimination against homosexuals uh, has made the news. I can find no reason why they had to go to that one particular business. You know,
Oh, true. I think.
there's absolutely no reason they had to go there.
Hmm.
So, and of course there are those situations where you didn't know prior to that they had such thoughts or whatever. But
Mhm.
still, you have other options.
Oh, one would hope, and I
Yeah.
think businesses flat out discriminating against different groups. I don't know this. I haven't taken a survey, but I at least hope it's so rare that if you just happen to stumble upon a business that discriminates against you, you could just go to the next one, and 100% of the time that wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
On the other hand, all the lawsuits I've seen, I get the sense it's not, they're suing not because I need a cake from this place, damn it, this place right here, there's no other option. It seems to be more the principle of the thing, you
Yeah.
know. But what do you think?
But
It
the
is. It is.
principle of the thing, I would say that shaming the company does
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good job at getting to getting the principle out there. You know, and these things have made national headlines.
Mm-hmm.
A bakery refused to make a cake for you know for a same-sex couple. That went international. That bakery became the poster child for discrimination. I think that public shaming was sufficient enough without a lawsuit.
Mm.
I think the lawsuit was just kind of an unnecessary step at that point.
Well, certainly unnecessary. I imagine that most of the people who have filed these lawsuits are looking for, money or just the principle of the thing, not a cake or flowers or photography services. I don't think any of these people are like, all right, now you make me a cake, damn it. I don't think they want a cake. I think they
Now,
probably
now
got a cake somewhere else. But
Laxter brings up something that was mentioned a lot in that original article too, was that back in the 50s, 60s, and around the civil rights era, you know there were issues with it. There were issues with racism and stuff. But the thing is that at that time, racism was institutionalized. There were
mm,
laws forcing segregation. There was massive public pressure on businesses to force segregation on their clientele. It was a thing. If you were black, the laws and society itself were preventing you from having a proper experience with business and accommodations and everything like that. There was a reason to get the federal government involved in forcing states to overturn those laws and all that. Today, I don't think we have that same situation. A bakery in New Mexico and a photographer in Colorado really isn't the same thing as every business in a town being forcefully segregating their clientele. It is totally not the same thing. And I think today we don't have the same issues, and so we don't need these laws and these lawsuits and everything. I think the free market, with national attention through the internet news, is enough to put a lot of these practices in check. So.
Well, yeah, the scale is certainly different, but the intention feels very similar to me. At the very least, it seems a prominent enough issue today that people feel there is a need for laws to protect people who want to discriminate. So that tells me that there's enough people out there who want to discriminate against other people that they're asking for laws to protect them. And I think there's like 35 of these around the country, and I think half of them got shot down. But
I think, I know Oklahoma introduced a couple of them, and I believe they didn't make it out, or at least I don't think any of them have made it to the governor's desk anyway.
Arizona did. No.
Yeah, but yeah, I think, but a lot of this I think is down to political capital. I don't think there's a sizable portion of the population demanding this. I think there's a sizable number of well-connected politically people demanding this, or those Republican senators and representatives and stuff aren't going to get next year's election dollars. Yeah, I think that's what this is. They're pandering to their campaign base.
Although I have to wonder, it's hard to tell because you see poll statistics flopping all over the place, but it would not seem to me to be in a political candidate's best interest to back bills like this. These seem to be generally unpopular.
Well, let me tell you a story here.
Okay,
we
please.
we have a representative in the Oklahoma legislature by the name of Sally Kern. She is term limited, so she can't run for election next year. But for the last 10 years, she has introduced some of the most vitriolic anti-gay legislation ever. Probably not the worst. Like California, somebody was proposing, shooting homosexuals
people on site. Yeah.
But
that's in my state.
Yeah, never on that level. But she's introduced some really terrible stuff, and this stuff gets national attention. Okay, so for 10 years she's been doing this, probably 12. I haven't watched her. Well, 11. I don't know much about her early years, but for 10 years, so for 5 elections, she's been introducing bills like this. The last 4 elections, nobody ran against her. So she got her seat without any issue in the last 4 elections. That's the kind of pandering this is doing. This is saying that, I don't know what it's saying to those. I think that's a pretty terrible, blight on her district. To think that nobody has the guts to run against her, despite the fact that she's one of the most stupid and evil people, as far as I'm concerned.
I just find it weird that this day and age, 2015, that someone with even presidential aspirations can be like, yeah, I'm these people should not be able to get married. I'm like, dude, there's no way in hell you're winning the presidency with an attitude like that today.
Yeah, well,
There are a significant number of people in the country who do
yeah,
ascribe to that opinion too, but I think they're in the minority now.
yeah, and they are, and if you've looked at the last 20 or the last two presidential elections, you can see it, because the Republicans lost, and 2016 it's not looking good for them either.
I think our
and I
Democrat.
think
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think Republican states like Indiana and Oklahoma are one of the big reasons why these swing states are swinging towards the Democrats, because there's just nothing to like about the Republican Party at this point.
To be fair, there are some good ones. There are
Yeah,
some
there
good
definitely
Republicans.
are.
There are a few
But,
I think one of the Republican mayors of in Indiana was like, "This is crap. You should be ashamed of yourself, sir."
yeah,
um, I think the last our Democratic president for the last two has been a result not of Democrats, yay, but more, we need to do everything in our power to keep this asshole out of the president's chair. I think Obama in a lot of cases probably got elected more to keep Romney out. And who's the other guy?
McCain.
McCain.
Yeah,
I think
McCain was a terrible candidate. Yeah,
that's the problem I've
and
had with presidential elections all my
yeah,
life, ever since I've been old enough to vote, is it's always the lesser of two evils. It's like, I don't want
yeah,
either of these guys in office.
yeah, because McCain was just an absolute war hawk and imperialist, and there was no way I was going to support that guy.
Yeah, I'm
and
from
then
Arizona, and I
and
can't
then
stand
Romney was the I'm trying to think of how to describe him, because he really did not do well in the primaries. I think he basically won by a fluke, because it's like the first 10 to 20 primary elections he lost, but by the time the other 30 primary elections rolled around, everybody else had dropped out. At least all the decent, the slightly more electable ones had dropped out.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like he was the leftovers, the Republican leftovers.
All right, back to SB 101. I have a proposal, a modest proposal, a compromise, if you will, because can't we all just get along? Okay, here's my thought. Businesses should be allowed to discriminate against anyone they want, but here's the condition: they have to advertise the fact. So, if you want to, if you will not sell a cake to a gay person, totally okay. But you have to take this little symbol. It's a the gay pride, the rainbow flag with a circle around it and the slash through it. You have to take this symbol, and you have to plaster it prominently on your store marquee, on your storefront door, and on all of your store's advertising. That way, everyone knows that you don't, serve gays, and they know not to waste their time and yours by coming into your establishment.
Yeah. Well, and then we get into the area of compelled speech, and the Supreme Court has put a no-no on that. So.
Well, I don't know if that's compelled speech. I mean, businesses do have to disclose their policies so that their customers are aware of them. I mean, you can't chuck me out of your store for coming in without pants if you don't tell me first that I have to wear pants to come in your store.
Yeah, but if somebody wants to be a closet, bigot, you can't force them to let you know. Yeah.
Well, then you can't discriminate against people, because then we'll know. The cat's out of the bag, man. All right, so let us move on to our last topic of the evening. We're already past the hour. Lovely.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a weird one. All right, a Northamptonshire police commissioner did an interview with the Irish Examiner, and spoke about a online safety report that he had just fronted, and opined that games like Grand Theft Auto 5 should carry an adults-only rating, not specifically the ESRB's AO rating, but an adults-only rating, and that consoles should have some type of parental control to keep kids from playing these adults-only games. Which is kind of funny because Grand Theft Auto 5 is already rated 18, which on that side of the world is
A
backed by the
legally
force of law.
enforceable law.
Yeah, it's legally enforced. If you are a retailer, you cannot sell 18 games to 18 rated games to people under 18. And every console for over 10 years has had parental controls. So I don't know if this guy got railroaded with a bad interview or what, because I actually read the report, and there is almost nothing in there about video games. It's about online safety. It talks mostly about privacy and social media and passwords and safe spaces online and what kids are comfortable and not comfortable with and how much attention parents are paying to what their kids are doing online. Video games have very, very, very little to do with this. And what's interesting is, let's see, where is it? The Irish Examiner says, according to the report, 1 in 4 primary school-aged children have seen something online that upsets them, with the most common cause being a video game.
Interesting.
No, that's actually not true. Here's what it actually says. This consultation shows 1 in 4 primary school-aged children have seen something online that has upset them. It doesn't say anything about video games. Here are the top things: swearing, mean things, or being bullied, naked, rude, or sexual content, scary stuff, cruelty to animals or dead or injured animals, naughty stuff, bad stuff, death or illness, and upsetting things on the news, violence, threatening messages, and mistakes by family. Whatever that means. Nothing in there about...
They saw their daddy doing something that they shouldn't have seen. I don't know.
Later on in the article, it says, the report makes reference to the most recent game in the Grand Theft Auto series, Grand Theft Auto 5, in which players torture an unarmed man by pulling out teeth and electrocuting him. Also mentioned is the 2009 game Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, one level of which involves players taking on the role of a terrorist and executing civilians in an airport, though the game's developers made the level optional. Here's what the report actually says on that. 30% of children and young people aged 12 to 18 say they have downloaded or viewed content online for which they are underage, and most commonly this content is online games. Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto are particularly popular, both of which are rated 18 years and over. Whilst playing games online, many children and young people say they have been called names, bullied and harassed by other players as a result of performing well or badly, depending on the nature on the individual or team nature of the game. Yeah, this is not talking about actually the game content. Most of it is talking about being bullied or threatened or harassed. Yeah, most of it is interactions with other people. So I don't know what this interview is talking about, and I don't know what this guy is talking about with games that are already rated for adults need to be rated for adults, and consoles that already have parental locks need parental locks.
Yeah.
It's like, where did you signed on? This is your report. Where are you getting this stuff? I have to wonder if he got, again, if the Irish Examiner like railroaded him into bad questions or something.
You would think, because yeah, it just makes absolutely no sense to anybody with half a brain. That this is an issue, and it's like. Yeah, you really got to find out who they talked to and what that reporter said to
I
them
want to
get
see a
those
transcript of
responses.
this interview.
Yeah, Because it's like, if he said that, if the reporter asked him, it's like, do you think that GTA 5 should have a 15 rating? If that was the question, yeah, I could see why that would be an issue.
Yeah.
Why you would get the response that GTA 5 should be an adults only rating. And the same thing with parental controls. Do you think parents should have any way of controlling what games their kids play on their consoles? I don't know. That might not be the right question, but yeah, it just sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm inclined to give this guy the benefit of the doubt because I know nothing of the Irish Examiner. Although, why wouldn't I give the Irish Examiner the benefit of the doubt? Well, the reason is because it's saying things that are not in the report.
Yeah.
And also, I don't understand why this guy would say things like this coming off of the report. It's like, this isn't what the report is about. It's not what it focuses on. It's not the conclusions that it draws.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very strange. So, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
Well, one final thought. Even in a kids show, I've been watching Goosebumps. The past week or so, from the '90s. Even in a kids show, the black guy always dies first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I watched most of the series now, and in the 3 episodes where they've had a black character in there, that character has died first. In Monster Blood 2, they're stuck on an airplane with monster blood, and the black flight attendant gets eaten by monster blood first. And then forget what the episode title is. It's the one where they find the magic mirror that turns them invisible. The black friend is the first one to get body swapped with the other dimensions version of him, and so that's killed first. And then recently, which episode was it? I'm trying to remember now. It was one of the recent ones I watched. But again, the black kid got whatever comeuppance. Oh no, it was these kids got sucked into a haunted house game, and the black kid got eaten by a laundry basket before any of the other characters got hurt by the haunted house. So yeah, so even in kids shows, the black guy dies first.
Well, yeah, you'll enjoy Final Destination 5 because the black guy dies last.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Nice.
It's pretty awesome. So, although, man, what would happen if you were a black guy in a red shirt?
Yeah.
Well, no hope for you, buddy.
Somebody mentioned, I think it was on Facebook when I posted this, but they said that usually, if there's 2 black guys in a show, they're both safe because the show can't figure out what to do with them, which one to kill first. So it freezes. It's like the tic-tac-toe game. But same thing with red shirts. If there are more than 1 red shirts in the show, they're both okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So
some interesting thoughts there.
Yep. All right, I think that is enough for this week. So
right.
Matthew does not give traditional press the benefit of the doubt, at least when it comes to video games. You know who I don't give the benefit of the doubt? Movies or television when it comes to video games. Because I watch movies or television, and I'm like, have you ever seen a video game before? Oh my gosh, how can you be this wrong about video games? I mean, today in 2015, I could almost excuse that 20 years ago, but today? I mean, don't you play these things yourself? Oh, man, I remember doing a review for Game Politics, God, way back in, like, 06, 07. There was a movie that came out, and I can't even remember what it's called anymore. But it's one of those, if you die in the game, you die in real life kind of things, where real life is mimicking what happens in the video game. And you look at the video game and you're like, I don't think the creators of this show have ever seen a video game before. How is that possible? And you still see that on TV today a lot, where people, like driving a car. It's kind of hard to mimic playing a video game and act at the same time. You'll often see
Yeah.
people, driving a car and they're doing this. Have you ever done that? If you're doing this while you drive, your car is doing this. Um, or I love it in movies where the person driving is like talking to the passenger and never once looks at the damn road.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
so
always fun. It's like, oh, you want to kill me, do you?
yeah. So playing a game, you get a lot of people going, doing this kind of thing. It's like no one. This is not what a gamer looks like.
Yeah.
But I think that's more a matter of people just. It's hard to act and play a video game and deliver your lines and act like you're really playing a video game at the same time.
Yeah.
Although it would be nice if they'd get some of the basics right. Someday.
Yeah. Someday. Someday.
Twisted Ideas is really a laundry basket lol.
Yeah, that's from the Goosebumps thing. When I was talking about Goosebumps, the third episode where the black kid got eaten by a laundry basket.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe I had left a laundry basket in the background or something. And I'm like, no, it's over there. So, alas, poor Zelda, we will see you in maybe 2016 or maybe 2017 on new hardware. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I'm sure that Nintendo's mobile game this fall will fill that Zelda-sized hole. I'm sticking with that. It's going to be the
That's
most.
my story, and I'm sticking to it.
It's going to be the most awesome mobile game that has ever mobile gamed, because Nintendo. All right, so you excited for E3? I am.
When is E3?
June,
right?
Yeah,
So
I think
that's like 3
first,
months
second
away.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, never too early for E3 hype.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I even knew when it was coming.
Yep. Yeah. So, by the way, Nintendo's going to win E3 this year because Fanboy says so.
Oh yeah, I don't think Sony's going to have any mics to drop when it comes to comparing themselves to Microsoft this year. So.
Well, they've got the sales numbers. I mean, unless Xbox One just completely takes off in the next couple of months, they're about double the units sold or something like that. Last I heard, Sony was, I think, 20 million, and Xbox is around 10, I guess, something. I think Wii U was 9 point something last I looked, which is kind of sad because from an exclusive standpoint, the Wii U is a much better buy than the Xbox One or the PS4.
Yeah, definitely.
As long as you already own a 360 or a PS3. If you own a PS3 or a 360, I think the Wii U is the much better buy out of Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, because there are more exclusive games and
it's cheaper.
Better exclusive games, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless you absolutely cannot live without Bloodborne, which you might have to because I hear it's a little buggy.
Yeah, it's pretty sad there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hey, you remember all those Nintendo games that you couldn't play because they glitched for the first couple of weeks? Neither do I.
No.
All right, enough fanboy stuff. Let's get out of here. Okay, so let me plug my stuff, and then you can plug yours. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is the last name. Plug it into YouTube. You get all my silly YouTube videos. My Sarkeesian video is all memorized now, so I'll probably shoot that tomorrow. And so you see it perhaps Sunday night, maybe later if I, completely botch my lines or something. But that should be coming pretty soon. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen and Facebook. Facebook page is Andrew Eisen YouTube. So, and Great Game Politics. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Knight, and you can also follow my game development work at DK_gaming. That's DivineKnightGaming.com, and we just finished up a game for the convention today, and we're making a game today and tomorrow. And so sometime next week, both of those will be up on our website for you to download for Linux and Windows, mainly because I don't have a Mac to test on, so that will have to come later. And then if you're interested in following the Oklahoma game development scene, it's okgamedev.com and okgamedevs on Twitter.
All right. You have been listening to Super Podcast Action Committee episode 137. We air live every Saturday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on GamePolitics.com and my YouTube channel. So if you want to hang out with us in the live chat, either GamePolitics.com front page, or you can go to my Twitch channel if you want, twitch.tv/Andrew Eisen, because we use the Twitch comments. Let's see, but you have to change your password because there were some security issues at Twitch. Them's the breaks. Let's see. You can send us email at superpackpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @superpackpodcast. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes and like us on Facebook. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week. Take care.
See ya.